Everybody wants to be the millionaire, the dollar millionaire.
I tell every single person that I meet, if you're under the age of 20, when you turn 21, apply for an airline. Why not Emirates? Fly the world.
I mean, without us, you wouldn't have a business, I guess.
I mean, look, did I have a desire to get into training? Not necessarily. I think that was literally just a door that was opened for me.
Do you believe that you don't have to be a broker to be a trainer of a broker?
I think it is possible, obviously, to become a really good sales trainer.
In real estate itself, would you prefer having a good broker trained as a trainer or someone that comes in that...
My preference would be that you find an experienced trainer.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of NOVVI Talks. I'm delighted to be here with my colleague Jessica, who's going to help me with this morning's podcast. And we're absolutely delighted to have with us the one and only James Glass. Now, for those of you who don't know who James is, he has had a wide and varied career. He's been in Dubai for several years. I'll get the exact years in a moment. But he started life not in the UAE. He's actually American born, but lived most of his life in France. So he speaks 3 languages. That's American, French, and English. But I want to say welcome to you, James, and thank you for obviously being with us here today. I know that you have got...
I can't decide if I should speak American or English now.
Well, whatever takes your fancy there.
Fine.
I want you to just explain to the viewers a little bit about sort of your journey. I touched upon it there. I am right in saying you were born in America, is that right? Or were you born in France?
I didn't want to correct you. I was actually born in Paris.
You were born in France, okay.
But my parents are American. My heritage, if you will, is American. So I had a very American upbringing and an American home, but in France.
Right, so you never lived in America?
Well, I studied there later for 6 years. So I went
on.
there. I went 2 years in LA, 4 years in Chicago, studied, and then came straight to Dubai. But my whole upbringing, the first 16 years of my life, I was in France.
Interesting, but you have an American accent.
I do. When I speak French, I have a French accent, so you would never know.
I speak Italian with an English accent, they say.
Do you?
Yeah, apparently.
I just speak English.
Very good, Jessica. So does that mean that... Sorry, where did you go to school then? Where did you go to
like
university?
As a child?
No, in university in America.
University. So again, I was born in Paris. I moved to Geneva.
Oh,
I'm going to say my family moved to Geneva, just outside of Geneva, Switzerland, when I was 1. So really, home for me is Geneva, even though we were on the French side of the border. I actually tell people it's kind of like the people that live in Al Nada or in Sharjah.
Okay.
They tell the rest of the world I live in Dubai. Even though they don't, but it's a cross. You know, you do everything in Dubai, you just happen to live there. It's the same in Geneva, Switzerland. You live in France, but you're literally a 2-minute drive from the border of Switzerland. Everything happens in Geneva. So anyways, I grew up in Geneva, and then I went back to the States, to the United States for you non-Americans, in 2010, I think, something like that. So 2 years I spent in LA, studying, and then 4 years in Chicago, small private Christian school up in the northern suburbs of Chicago for 4 years. My dream as a kid growing up, I was kind of tall, especially in France, right? They kind of saw me as like this freak. I was like a 6'6" or like a 1 meter, 95 centimeter 14-year-old. And the French kind of thought that was amazing. And so I played basketball. I started very late. I only started when I was 11, but then I found out later in life when I was like 14, that it was possible to get paid to play a sport.
Basketball, right.
And I don't know why I was so old when I found that out, but I thought that's what I want to do. And so I ended up going to the States, and it worked out, and I ended up getting a pretty much a full ride scholarship to go study and play basketball in Chicago. And then from there came straight to Dubai in 2016.
In 2016. Okay, so you were there for what, 5 years, 6 years?
6 years in the States, yeah.
6 years. Is there any aspect of American lifestyle that you miss? Or have you completely encompassed the Dubai dream, the Dubai lifestyle?
Yeah, that's a good question. I love Dubai because of how diverse it is. I left the US, all of my teammates and my friends and the people that I studied with, they all stayed. They're still there. That's home. Americans a large majority of Americans. They grow up in the States, they stay in the States, they live in the States, they die in the States. Maybe they take 1 or 2 overseas trips. They go to Mexico, Canada, maybe a summer in Europe, and bam, I'm an international traveler. And there's nothing wrong with that because the US is a massive country. You've got oceans on both sides. And so like most countries in the world, you go anywhere in Europe, you go to rural France, rural in the UK and England, and you go to the villages, well, it's the same, right? Most rural French people have never left France, right? And so it's the same. It's just the US is so big and the population is so large, and it's so, the whole world follows American pop culture, and if you will, for some strange reason, because of Hollywood. And so, because of all that, there's a little bit more of a stigma around it. But all that to say, after 6 years there, I felt like I'd kind of done it. 6 years there was good. I understand what it's like. I've done the West Coast. I've done the Midwest. And we went often back as a kid as well. So I felt like I kind of understood American culture. I'm very thankful for that American upbringing. I think there are parts of the American culture that are very useful. I think it's an overall relatively positive culture. People are outgoing. People are friendly. People are talkative. And I think there's parts of that can be annoying, but there's parts of that are really useful, right? So I've tried to take kind of the best of that and apply it. But overall, how much do I miss living there? Not really. I love Dubai. Dubai is home. I love, being on a podcast with an Italian and a Brit, and this is just the daily life in Dubai. So I've really fallen in love with that.
And what brought you to Dubai? You came here in 2016. You said.
I did, yeah. So in my what we call the senior year of college, do you guys say this in the UK? Your senior year, your last year, when you're about to finish university. What do you call that?
Oh, third year.
About to graduate.
Right.
Yeah,
well, when you're about to
graduate.
finish your studies, we call that our senior year.
Okay.
I literally just Googled best airline in the world. So my parents, I don't know if this is interesting. My parents actually met way back in the day with Pan Am. If you remember Pan Am Airlines.
Of course I remember Pan Am.
The gloves and all that.
Okay.
Right, so they were both cabin crew with Pan Am. They met at JFK Airport, and they've been now married 45 years, have 3 kids. And so we always grew up kind of seeing the pictures of them and training and Pan Am and the gloves and the stories of first class. And so growing up, I think all 3 of us, really, me and my brother and sister, always thought, oh, maybe one day we'll go fly the world. And so literally, I was finishing university. I didn't want to get an intro level job, which was kind of the norm that our parents taught us what to do. So I just Googled best airline in the world. Emirates Airlines popped up. I clicked on apply, not really knowing anything about Dubai. I'd flown through Dubai once on the way to Beijing. On Emirates, so I'd seen the airport, but I knew nothing about the city. I clicked on apply, and 4 months later, I was here.
And of course, Pan Am didn't exist in those days.
Correct. Pan Am was gone.
Otherwise, you would have obviously tried there, surely.
I might have applied for Pan Am. Pan Am was a whole different. The airlines have changed. I mean, you'd know better than me.
Are you saying I'm old?
I'm saying you have more life experience of traveling.
Oh.
You're saying I'm old.
What was
yeah,
the first
that's
airline
okay.
you ever flew with?
Well, apparently I went on. Oh, now I'm going to say
See?
stuff. I'm going to say stuff I don't want to be on camera, but it was Aden Airways.
Aden.
Yeah, exactly. You see.
Don't have
Let's
a
just
clue.
park that
Fine.
for another time and move on. Okay, so Emirates Airlines. I mean, that must have been an amazing experience. How long were you working there for, by the way?
3 years.
3 years
plus.
And
About 2 years too long.
Did you become a purser? Were you just cabin crew? Sorry, I don't.
I was
just.
just
Sorry.
I was with the peasants and the cattle
peasant.
in the back
Okay,
of
fine.
the plane. Yeah.
But I mean, what an experience, good and bad. I mean, tell
it
us
was great.
some juicy stories.
Oh man, it was great. Yeah, the stories for days. It was great. Look, to this day, still nearly a decade later, when I talk to anybody who's in school, finishing school in the next year or two, and they're having a midlife crisis, what should I do with my life? I tell every single person that I meet, if you're under the age of 20, when you turn 21, apply for an airline. Why not Emirates? Fly the world, right? Travel the world, be with other young, like-minded individuals.
1 second. How old are you?
29.
29?
Yeah.
I thought she was around 21, 22. Seriously, I
I look
thought.
young.
It's a compliment, right?
Good to
Yeah,
see
yeah,
you.
absolutely, absolutely. Sorry, I
I think you
interrupted
can still apply until 30.
I can. I did.
Did you?
You've got to be pretty, and unfortunately, didn't hit the
How did
category
you
there.
get in?
I
Exactly.
forget. I'm mystery.
I'm joking.
So anyways, long story short, I applied. Emirates was great. The first year of Emirates, I think most cabin crew, when they join, they would probably work for free.
Yeah.
They would happily
I've heard
just travel the world.
Wow.
You're staying in 5-star hotels, a different city every 3 days. all right, the work on the plane isn't great. You're serving people, but then you land and you got, at least 24 hours in a new city in a 5-star hotel. Back in the day, they used to give us an envelope of cash in the local currency at the hotel when you got there. So it's not much, but you literally just have cash to go spend and hang out for a day. So, when you're 21 and you've just finished studying for the first year, it really is the greatest job on planet Earth. Now, they work you hard. It's not easy. The sleep schedules are crazy. But as far as a learning experience, I talk about this all the time, right? Like what you learn being stuck in a metal tube, a pressurized metal tube at 30,000 feet with 310 people from a specific country, you learn a lot more about that culture and those people than you would by studying them or traveling there for a week of holiday, staying in a hotel. Like you learn so much about how to deal with people from any part of the world, no matter how they think, what their values are, what their religious beliefs are, what languages they speak. You just learn how they think, how to communicate with them. So I have very fond memories. I speak very highly of my time there. I was probably ready to go about a year and a half or 2 years in, but then I ended up meeting a very special woman.
Yeah, so you kind of replicated your mum and dad in some respects, didn't you? So
got some nice pictures of the four of us.
Repeated yourself.
Yeah. I met my wife, South African cabin crew, who we did a flight together, and we were actually going to the same church as well, same Bible study at the time. So we kind of got to know each other outside of work. But yeah, that's officially how we met, and so that's our whole dating relationship, and then our whole engagement. We were both flying around the world, so it was hard to catch each other. We didn't see each other much. But,
it's like love on the planes.
It was what?
Love on the planes.
Love on the planes.
Planes.
Yeah.
So why did you leave then? It sounds like everything was amazing there. Plus, you met your future wife.
Yeah, it was more of a lifestyle thing. I knew I didn't want a career in the airline. There's not, some people make a career out of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. I knew I didn't want a career. My plan was to come and do one contract, which was 3 years, which is exactly what I did. And I probably would have left a little bit earlier if I hadn't met my, now wife. We've been married for, just over 5 years. And so I think that was really the main reason, right? The lifestyle with both people kind of flying all over the world all the time is really challenging, whether you're a pilot or cabin crew.
So you weren't always on the same flight, obviously.
No, very rarely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think in like 2.5 years of both flying simultaneously, maybe 2 years, I think we did maybe 14 flights together,
okay,
which is fun. But how many is that out of the hundreds that we would have done during that time period? So you don't see each other a lot. And so, when we finally got engaged, we started planning, and she actually enjoyed the job. You know how like when you fly, and you can tell, by the way, I'll talk to the camera. When you fly on a plane, you can tell. There's always probably one or two crew that really love their job, and you can tell. And then there's the rest who are just there to go on the layover, right? I was a layover guy, right?
Okay. So you were the miserable one.
Right. I was fun.
Yeah. But
passengers liked me because it's cool. But like really, I just couldn't really care less if your chicken is hot or not, right? Like it's just not inherently in me. So I'll serve you because it's my job, but I just wasn't the person.
What about the people that press the buttons, say like, can I have another tea?
I was on a chokehold.
I was on a flight coming back from London the other day, and this guy asked for a green tea. And
bring your own green tea.
Well, that's just it. They said we don't have any, and I was actually quite shocked because my wife drinks green tea all the time.
You should have traveled in business.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
how do you know I wasn't in business?
They have green tea.
Yeah.
By the way, I just came down to use the bathroom. No, I'm joking. It was cattle class.
Yeah. Of course, you're cattle class. Hey, it's all right. I usually fly in economy. No, look, it's the reality. There's lots of good stories. Emirates is still, as you start flying other airlines, there's a few in the top, and then there's the rest. And Emirates is definitely in the top. So
I read a book about a cabin crew from Virgin. That was a book. I have to say, I must find it and lend it to you because I'm sure you can relate to.
Were there just like stories?
Stories of what happened, what went on. Yeah, very colorful. But
my favorite story to tell. I don't have time to tell it now. Plus, I would need to stand up and demonstrate.
Okay.
But basically, it was like 3 a.m. on the way to Chicago, and I remember distinctly. I was working with another crew, a Greek girl. I'll never forget her face. I don't remember her name. And it was like 3 a.m. Everyone's asleep. You got 310 people going from Dubai to Chicago, 14-hour flight. Everyone's asleep. So obviously, the unspoken rule is
keep quiet.
Don't make a sound because you don't want to wake everybody up, right? And so we're going through, and there was this guy. Obese, this big dude, all the way in the window seat, right? And I just remember this Greek girl leans over the cart to me where the coffee and tea was and stuff for the 4 people that are awake. She goes, "James." I go, "What?" "I think he's dead."
Oh no. I thought you were going to say he was snoring or something.
No. And so I look over, and sure enough, it's this guy, just leaned back in his chair, eyes rolled back, and he looks like he's just gone. And we get trained for this, by the way. Emirates training is the greatest training academy. It was maybe a segue for training later, but it really is. It's a great 2-month training program, and we get trained, right? What do you do if you find a dead person? There's a full week of medical training, CPR, mortality kit, body bag, all that stuff. And so all the training kicks in, and you're like, all right, I got a dead guy on board. Here we go. We're going to go through the...
But hold on, before you like,
yeah, no, of course.
Hello, are you awake?
Of course. And so I try to wake him up.
You're going to kill him.
I'm going like this. I'm trying to wake him up, and he just won't wake up, right? And so I'm like, all right, he's dead. So I have the 2 other people move, and I climb over, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And so we're trained, obviously, get him in the aisle, lie him down, start CPR, right? Take a pulse, all
But
that.
you said he was a big guy. How did you even make
Exactly.
him?
And so I literally, I wish I could demonstrate for a podcast. I literally straddle the guy, and I get both of my arms under his armpits, which is how we're trained to move someone. And as I'm about, you can picture this, right? And as I'm about to lift him up to drag him in the aisle, he goes...
So he had sleep apnea in that, when you don't breathe or something.
So obviously, what do? I say,
good morning.
Would you like a drink?
Would you like a green tea? Wow.
So anyways, lots of those stories. It was a good time.
Okay, right. Well, where did you go after that?
I know. What do you do after that? Right?
You left and you went to do what?
Yeah, I left. So basically what happened is, when my wife and I got engaged, we had 7 or 8 months to start planning what we were going to do next. So like I said, she actually enjoyed the job. She's this perfect cabin crew. When you're on board, she was business and first class. You can just imagine just someone that welcomes you, that actually cares about you and takes care of you. Anyways, that's not me. But she's a wonderful wife to me. And so we said, okay, well, you keep flying and I'll find something else in Dubai. I'd done some sales through college, but I didn't really know what I was going to end up finding in Dubai. But I was probably overconfident. I was like, it's fine. There's lots of jobs. I'm competent. I'll find something. And so I was looking around. It was really tough for 3 or 4 months. There was just not a whole lot of opportunities, especially back then. This was 2016. The economy was okay, but not doing great. And it was really, I call it a God thing. I know that ruffles some feathers, but when I had joined Emirates way back when in 2016, the flight where I came as a passenger, right? So like when I joined from Geneva as a passenger coming to Dubai, moving here with my suitcases, I was sat in economy in cattle class next to another guy from Geneva, a Swiss guy. And we talked the whole time. We got along really well. His name was Alex. And he gave me his business card, and he was coming to Dubai to work for a company called Property Finder, which of course I had never heard of. Because I was coming with Emirates as cabin crew. I couldn't care less about real estate. And so we got talked for the whole flight, I think, gave me his card. And then I remember the next day or 2 days later, when I actually joined Emirates, I got my email address, my Emirates email. And the first email that I sent was to this guy, Alex. Hey, Alex, good to meet you. Good luck with Property Finder. And we never spoke again. 3.5 years later, when I'm looking for a job, it's all about networking, right? So if you're looking for a job, this is how it works. And I was just any human being that I have spoken to in the last decade, I'm going to ask them, if they know of any opportunities. And I remembered this guy, Alex. So I went to my Emirates email, scrolled all the way to the top, found this guy, Alex, replied 3.5 years later, right? Hey, Alex, you probably don't remember me. I'm in Dubai, leaving Emirates, looking for a job. Are you still here? And he remembered the flight. He had, I guess, fond memories of our conversation. He replied, yep, absolutely. Coming tomorrow. Let's have a chat. And so when I say it's a God thing, like legitimately, I had zero impact in deserving that kind of entry role into real estate. But he was kind. He was the COO of Property Finder at the time. And so he was really kind, introduced me to a few people at Property Finder. And turns out they were actually in a position where they needed a trainer to come in and help them train the different brokerages in Dubai on specifically how the portal worked. And even though I had no real estate or prop tech background, they thought that I could, just based on pure potential, learn with a pretty steep learning curve. So they gave me a shot. Which I did not deserve.
Actually, I've just realized that I should have opened up this podcast not just to introduce the famous James Glass, but who is James Glass today? And I didn't do that. You've kind of segued straight into that.
Sorry.
Because no, I'm glad you did, because now it gives me an opportunity to say that you're a very respected sales trainer. You worked at Axe Capital. You've helped NOVVI as well. You've come and done a lot of training at NOVVI, and of course now train many other real estate companies. And you've developed your own game, which we also have. You've played it as well, haven't you?
We did it yesterday, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was great. It was really good.
I'm too competitive, I have to say. So
You have to step out when you're going through the simulation.
no, it's just that when we first wanted to play it, I just wanted to have all the listings. I wanted to sell everything. You only had to deal with me, you know, the usual stuff, very much like Monopoly. So I guess that's where your training started. So you fell into a training role without any training background, but you alluded to that by being cabin crew. When you're dealing with, as you say, the different nationalities, you actually say from one country, but often there are so many different people in that plane, not just from that one country where it's emanating from. So clearly you must have listened and learned very much what ticks. And I've always said knowledge is always power, and it's great. But if you know the culture of the person, how to shake their hand, how to be with them, what to say, what not to say, it stands you in very good stead anyway. So that must have been a bit of a base for you in some respects. I mean, did you want to get into sort of because it's a people business, isn't it? Training's
like a people business.
I mean, without us, you wouldn't have a business, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, did I have a desire to get into training? Not necessarily. I think that was literally just a door that was opened for me. Do I look back now and realize how many of the different, things that I've done over my life help in that realm? Yeah, of course, and I'm very thankful for that. How much did I actually learn at Emirates that helps in the specific training? I think it helps with the people aspect. Like you said, when you've got a room of brokers in front of you, a room of 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, sometimes 400 brokers in front of you that you're training or doing a seminar for, understanding just how diverse Dubai is, and that you can't just speak to as if you're speaking to a single culture. That's not going to work. And so I think it's helpful, but that doesn't mean that I stepped into Property Finder being a good trainer. That's far from the reality. I had no idea what I was doing. And they were very kind, right? I mean, they had one trainer already at Property Finder at the time. And she was very kind and kind of teaching me the ropes in the first couple of months. And they were courteous in that they understood I was going to have a steep learning curve. So they had set some pretty realistic expectations for me in those first 3 or 4 months as I learned the ropes. But once I did, and the good thing about that job to kind of enter into the training realm, it would be much harder going straight into the actual real estate brokerage world in Dubai as a trainer, because you have to know everything. I didn't have to know everything. I just, at the beginning, just had to understand the portal, right? How Property Finder works, the algorithm, how to create a good listing, how to generate leads, how to qualify them. That you can actually teach somebody without needing to know everything about being a broker. And so I think it was a really good entry point for me that I think most trainers in the market haven't had that kind of an entry point. They either started as a broker or they started in another industry. And so they have a bit of maybe a more difficult journey.
You kind of answered the next question in some respects, because I was going to say, just like maybe a boxing coach doesn't need to be a boxer to actually coach a boxer. Does the same principle apply in real estate? But the fact that you started knowing about real estate from a tech point of view, from a data point of view, rather than the human element of it, with the nuances and dare I say even the mental strain that agents kind of have to go through. It's all well and good telling somebody how to do it, but sort of showing them. Have you changed your stance there, or do you believe that you don't have to be a broker to be a trainer of a broker?
Yeah. Well, I want to be careful, because if I just come out and say, no, you don't need to be a broker ever to be a good trainer, I'm legitimizing a lot of sales trainers who maybe should not be sales trainers. I think it is possible, obviously, to become a really good sales trainer, the same way it is possible to become a really good sports coach, a good boxing coach, a good football coach, a good basketball coach. Some of the greatest coaches across sports of all time have not been professional athletes of that sport, right? And so obviously it's possible, but that I don't want to negate and say that's always the case, right? There are also really good athletes who become really good coaches. There are really good brokers who can become really good trainers. Now, here's the real issue. It's not about what can work. It's about what does work. And in the real estate market, most companies, and I've had probably hundreds of these conversations over the last 5 years talking about helping a company finding a good sales trainer. You have 2 options. Either you find a really good trainer from another industry who knows nothing about real estate, and you teach them real estate. That is incredibly challenging. Real estate is complex. There are thousands of intricacies, and they're probably going to want them to do it for 3 to 6 months first. So at least they have some firsthand experience before they can train somebody, or else they'll have no legitimacy. So that is the first option, but it's very, very challenging, right? The other option is find a broker who knows the brokerage world and teach them how to train. Just as challenging. And here's the problem with that is that there's two options. Either you find a really good broker and teach them how to train. The problem is the really good broker, they're probably making money. So why would they possibly want to become a sales trainer for a salary or an override of a team? So the only option left is you find a bad broker who's struggling and teach them how to train, but who possibly wants a bad broker to train their salespeople. So we're really left with a bit of a conundrum in Dubai's real estate realm where there's a lack of trainers. And so there are some trainers who have come from other industries. They're really good trainers, and over a year or two, companies are patient and they learn real estate. And there's some really good ones who have done that. And some of the big companies have. And then there's a whole lot of brokers who usually were struggling brokers or not brokers for very long, who needed a salary and then learned how to be a trainer. And there's nothing inherently wrong with either of those. That's just the reality of the landscape and some of the challenges that come along with trainers here.
So in real estate itself, would you prefer having a good broker trained as a trainer, or someone that comes in that, because for me, training is something that someone can do or want to do and are naturally born to do it. Yeah. So would you say a trainer should come in and then you teach them real estate? What would you prefer? What do you think is better?
Look, I think if a company asked me for my opinion, kind of like as an outsider, as an objective outsider, I would probably say, look, if you have the time, if you know this is a long-term role that you're looking to fill and you have time, my preference would be that you find an experienced trainer who has been, trained in how to train. Training, unfortunately, in Dubai, even not just in real estate, just in general, this is actually a global phenomenon, but especially in Dubai, people think that training and presenting is the same thing, right? So I can get up with a PowerPoint and read off the screen and bam, I'm a trainer. No, you're not a trainer. You're a presenter, right? Training is a whole different thing, right? Training is always what we call audience focused, right? So when you go through training, you shouldn't feel like the training was about the trainer. You should feel like the training was about you, right? I led this. I participated. It was engaging. It was competitive. And you have to learn how to do that. You don't just wake up one day and you're a trainer. It takes really some study, probably some certifications, and then years of experience to do that. And so my preference, to answer your question, which is a very good question, my preference would be find someone who really knows that, who understands that, and then give them time. Give them time to learn real estate. Invest in them to have a long-term trainer in the market. The problem is most brokerages, they want a trainer who can come and train brokers next week. Yeah. Well, of course, you're not going to train someone real estate in a week, right? So they're forced to get a broker, even if they're a bad broker, and then say, all right, put together a training program. Good luck.
Yeah. So it leads on to my next question. So many agents aren't really cut out to be brokers, and that most likely comes into the training itself. Would you blame the training or the broker itself?
Oh, man. Yeah. Yes.
Yes to both questions.
Yeah. Look, so I don't think you can blame the broker, because Dubai has created an environment where anybody can come and get licensed and give it a shot, right? Which is great. One, it's good for Dubai because it's free marketing. You can have 30, 40, 50,000 agents all promoting Dubai real estate around the world. Why not? They're not stupid, right? And two, it's a good opportunity for those brokers, right? I mean, look at us. Look at anybody who's a broker. They've come here. They've said, hey, I'm allowed to come here, try to sell property and make a better life for myself. You'd be crazy not to. So I don't think you can blame the agent. I mean, give it a shot. If you have the ability to do so, you can come here, get a visa, you have the financial backing, go for it. So I don't think you can ever get mad at the individual broker for giving it a shot. Now, is it the company's responsibility is the question to say, hey, even though you're in your right to give it a shot, we don't think it's going to work out for you. And so we're not going to give you a shot. Yeah, I think, of course, that's the company's responsibility. But is there a one size fits all for every company? No, right? Some companies might be more desperate or just have a different philosophy of hiring and brokering than others. I think what is wrong is when a company gives a pretty straight up unethical, immoral, and dishonest view of how successful that broker will be. And there's a lot of that in the market. Of course, can anyone control that? No, there will always be dishonest people.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
I think it does. I think it's about expectations as well, because everybody wants to be the millionaire, the dollar millionaire broker, the big deals. Everyone wants to do luxury. Nobody wants to do a small studio in, I don't know, Silicon Oasis, because it doesn't bring in the kind of commission that you would hope. But I think to be a rounded person, you've got to have done that too. You've got to have cut your teeth on smaller deals. In fact, I know of an agent. In fact, we know of an agent in Axe who worked for 2 or 3 years for nothing. He never actually took any commission. He wanted to learn the trade. He wanted to build the trust amongst his clients. And today he is possibly one of the most successful people I know, doing 2, 3, 4 deals a week. Obviously now taking commission, a very, very wealthy guy. But he took the decision at the beginning to learn his trade, good and bad, making mistakes, no doubt, before then realizing that to be successful, you needed to do X, Y, Z. So, yeah.
But with that though, for someone that's not come to Dubai or moving to Dubai, how would they start off? Would you have to recommend them coming here with that plan ahead? Maybe a year's worth of savings or so?
Again, I mean, that's the company's prerogative to explain that to their potential hires the way they see fit. I mean, if you ask me, yes, of course. I think that's their almost moral responsibility, is to make sure that when somebody is going to uproot their whole life and move here to get into a commission-only role, that they're prepared for that. They know what that's going to take. They have the right backing to be able to do that. But, can I go around and enforce that? No, of course not. But yes, I think that is what would be the best approach for the industry. For sure. By the way, I have no idea who you're talking about.
You're not?
No, but that's okay. I was just nodding as if I did. We don't have to,
I'll tell you off air, and you do know who I'm talking about when I mention it.
So in terms of Dubai, and you mentioning that training, there's somewhat a lack of it. What did you do in the real estate market to make it better for you, your team, and others around you?
The training industry specifically.
Yeah, training or in real estate.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I don't worry too much about the training industry. What I worry about is the real estate industry. My job is to make each individual broker that I work with better. Who else is training and what they're doing and how I compare really isn't any of my concern. We need more trainers. It's not enough. So I welcome as many good sales trainers in the market as possible. I think the reality is, we probably have, 20, 30 sales trainers in the market. And without commenting on how good any of those are, the reality is that a large majority of them, probably 27 of them out of 30, have full-time jobs. They're with brokerages full-time, which is good, right? The big brokerages need someone full-time. And so that really leaves like 2 or 3 of us who are actually able to deliver training to the rest of the market, which is like another 4,000 real estate brokerages.
You're a busy man.
Yeah. And so, we need more training. I do my very best to, keep on top of the market, to make things very engaging, again, to keep it an actual training, not a presentation, to make it competitive, to get people thinking by the end of training, whether that's, a 1.5 hour session with a team, whether that's a full morning, whether that's, at 1 session per week for 6 weeks, whatever it is that company, wants to bring me in for. I just do my very best that by the end of whatever that session is, that I've got a room of brokers leaving thinking, hey, that was actually fun. And that's really rare in training. It's one of the reasons I wanted to get into training is because, most people, when they go into any kind of training, they leave thinking that was boring, and they're on their phones and they're disengaged and it's just someone talking at them. And so if I can leave a training with every single person in the room leaving thinking, hey, even if I only learned maybe 5% of that was new to me, I had fun, it was engaging, it was a good use of 90 minutes of my life, right? So that's really the approach that I take. And overall, I think the feedback is pretty good. So that's what I'm going to keep doing.
Okay.
So in terms of your personal brand, because we all try to develop that so that when we do speak on our own social media, whatever, that it isn't just a voice, it's a voice with some sort of meaning behind that. How important was that in sort of launching this new sort of chapter of your life here with your own company?
Yeah, I think relationships matter more than anything else. Whether those relationships come from personal branding, from social media, from just years of networking and keeping in touch with people, it doesn't really matter where they come from. For me, LinkedIn has been very helpful. I started being very regular on LinkedIn as far as just kind of building my personal brand and posting on LinkedIn back in, 2020, maybe 2021, something like that. So it hasn't been that long, 4 or 5 years. But that really has grown a pretty big brand for me, kind of accidentally, to where, because it's a bit of a niche that most people don't want to do, right? Most people who know real estate, they want to be brokers and sell mansions and penthouses and make millions. And really nobody wants to be a trainer, right? Or build an online training program for real estate agents. So because of that, there's just not many people who are doing what I'm doing. And I think that has opened up opportunities to where whenever a broker or an agent or an owner of a company thinks, hey, we should get training for our agents, I think I come to mind most of the time, because how many people are there that do what I do? So on one side, that's really good. On the other side, maybe I'm terrible at my job and it's just that there's no options. Who knows? But I think that's just kind of where I've ended up. So I think personal branding is important. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it.
So we always have to evolve ourselves individually. And as a company, you have to remain fresh. You have to remain relevant. So what does the future look like for you? What next for James Glass?
Yeah, well, over the summer, the next 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 months, it's a big project. I'm building an online training program for real estate agents. So this is not really something that's ever going to replace a sales trainer in person with agents, but it's meant to be a tool that's kind of complementary to that. And so it'll be, 30, 40, 50 hours worth of content that can be used. I mean, obviously it's designed from a very experienced point of view for experienced agents to go through and kind of fine tune everything from, what you should know about how to sell Dubai and developers and projects and different communities and the actual intricacies of all the different platforms and Dubai Rest and, other platforms that have been created, the portal. So it really is going to be a comprehensive training program for real estate agents.
Things, yeah.
Modules, different sessions, modules under different sections. And so it's a big project. I'm probably about 5% done with it. I just started a few weeks ago. I've been planning it for about a year. And I finally started producing it. And so I think that's really kind of the next step, one, that Dubai needs. The Dubai real estate industry really needs a standardized, comprehensive training program that is not officially affiliated with a brokerage, right? I've built multiple different, learning management systems and courses when I was working for a brokerage, but of course that's only used internally. And so I think it's time that there is a really professional, independent platform that any agent from any brokerage can come and be part of, or even potentially, what I think will end up happening a lot is people who want to get into real estate, they would go through those 40 or 50 hours of content over a month to get a really good idea of what it's like to then make a more educated decision about whether or not it's good for them, which kind of goes back to a question that we talked about earlier, right? Yeah. So that's the plan.
Do you think you'll ever work with RERA?
I am not going to seek that out. If they contact me, I've said this before, if they contact me and say, hey, we like what you're doing, we'd like for you to come build a program for us, I'd happily say yes. I think it's the least that we can do is give back a little bit to the industry. But I'll let them take that initiative.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, NOVVI Talks is a great platform. Mario's got, 4 decades of experience in real estate. He really does know what he's talking about. He understands the landscape here really well. Always having a different co-host, a different guest on board. So comment, subscribe, do whatever you got to do. Hang out with NOVVI Talks. Watch the next one. Thanks for being here.
That's amazing. Well, he's done that for me. So thank you very much for watching this episode, and tune in for the next one, which will be hopefully equally as exciting as this has been. James, thank you very much. Jessica, thank you. And that's a wrap.